So basically, we'll be talking about our new launch product called mClassic that was, I would say, a partnership between me, Arabian Prince, and Marseille Inc. and Amine, who is the CEO of Marseille, who should be on shortly. How this came to be initially was I was at an E3 convention, which is a video game convention in LA last year, about literally just over a year ago, because we just passed E3 about three weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Gina, who's on the call, introduced me to Amine and said, "Hey, you need to meet this guy. He's got some amazing technology, and this product, it's amazing, and you should check it out and see if there's some synergy with you and him." So I met him, looked at the product, and I'm a skeptic because I'm a technologist. I've been in the video game industry and the special effects industry for 39 years, along with, doing music and being one of the founding members of the rap group NWA. So a lot of people look at me as just an entertainer, but I've been doing technology forever. And it was one of those things where I was kind of skeptical when I saw the product and heard what it did about, like, there's this cable that upscales video to 4K in real time. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. I've heard this one before, and then when I saw it, I was still skeptical. And then he showed me again. I was like, okay, And I started looking at the technology and looking at how it was built and what they did. And I was like, man, this is amazing. Why doesn't everyone know about this? And why isn't this everywhere? And, I started racking my brain about it. And I kind of thought that maybe, it was the fact that it wasn't Marseille's fault. It wasn't Amine's fault. It wasn't any of his engineers' fault. It was the fault of the general public being lied to over the years with bad products.
Right.
And, and no disrespect to Monster, because I know the CEO of Monster as well. They make amazing products. But sometimes when you're trying to sell a cable for a lot of money, that all it does is the same thing that a $10 cable does, people get turned off. So when they hear about something that's $100 or $120 or $130 that's supposed to do something amazing, they're turned off because they bought products for $50 to $100 that did absolutely nothing. So I kind of racked my brain around it for a while. And I reached out to Gina again and said, "Hey, hook us up. I want to talk to him, and I got an idea." And being a designer and a technologist and a futurist, I came up with this concept of taking the processing chip out of the cable and creating something that's built for the gamer, that the gamers would appreciate, seeing that I'm a gamer, and make something for the console, because no one has ever made a graphics card for a console. Like, you can upgrade your computers. I build custom PCs. I got $800, 2080 cards and, $1,000 2080 extended cards and, Kingpin cards. I've got all these graphic cards in my PCs that cost me a ton of money, and most gamers do. But no one's ever been able to upgrade a console and make it better, make the graphics better. And this was something I said, you know what? Let's take his technology. Let me do a cool design, make something for the gamers and for the over 1 billion consoles out there, even the retro consoles who, don't have HDMI. As long as you have an adapter, you can use our mClassic product and make it better.
Great. Yeah, you hit on some of the highlights there. And actually, I was at E3 the last couple of years and met Gina and Amine. You're not this E3, but the one previous to it with their mCable product that you referred to. So besides taking the cable out of the mix, what are the differences between the mClassic and the mCable product?
So one of the biggest differences is the fact that now you have a 3-position switch on the mClassic. You have a pass-through mode, which is just technically off. So if it's off, the video or the gameplay just kind of passes right through. You have processing, which is the second position that's on, and that will process and up-res the video and or the gameplay from 40p up to full HD or from HD up to 4K. And then you have the third position, which is retro mode. And that mode, basically what it does is it still up-reses all of the retro consoles, but it keeps the aspect ratio in check at 4:3 as opposed to stretching it out to 16:9. So, retro players will love that because, as you know, most of them who do get adapters for their retro consoles, as soon as they plug it in, it stretches it all out. So,
right.
We kind of wanted to make sure that all the gamers were happy. I wish that maybe in the future we'll create our own adapter that goes along with it for the retro players. But, most of them already have adapters anyway, so we just wanted to make a product that made consoles better. And I think Amine is actually on now too.
Okay.
Yes, Robin.
Hi, Amine.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Well,
excellent.
Sure. Thanks for joining in on the call. Arabian has gone really through the highlights of it, and then I was just doing some follow-up questions. We had just touched upon the differences between the mCable and then the mClassic, and then we were talking about particularly the retro consoles, because actually from our video that we shot this past year, I did get some viewer questions and comments, and we've touched upon some of them. But with some of these retro devices that you would plug into, I got a question particularly for the RetroTink device. Would this interface okay with that, since that is one of those devices that enables?
Absolutely. I think Arabian Prince was explaining when I got on a call. Is you've got a lot of amazing devices. You've got a lot of interesting devices. That try to bridge the gap in terms of connectivity, right? Physical connectivity. How do you get from component to HDMI? How do you get from an S-video signal to a HDMI, BGA, and you name it, right? So what we're looking at is we're trying to leverage all this existing ecosystem to really focus on what we're really good at, right? What the magic or more the science that we do at Marseille is all about the video processing. So the idea is that as long as you can find a way to give us a 480p input from any retro gaming console system, you're going to get a better visual experience, right? And we try to stay away from recommending, which device that you should be selecting, but the goal is really like a RetroTink or any other adapter that will do a decent job in grabbing the content in, as close as the original, will allow you, as long as you go through mClassic, Marseille processing, to get the best out of your retro gaming experience. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yeah. And really another thing, I'm not sure, since I joined the call a bit late, is I'm not sure if Arabian Prince covered that, is really our mission there, of course, is not like so right now we're really not focusing on the connectivity because it's kind of standardized. There's some partition of, but really we're really focusing on the art of science of enhancing your gaming experience by simply delivering better graphics, better pixels, because we all know that you would get to a better gaming experience, right? But in terms of the retro gaming, why is Marseille focusing on that is really what is the problem that we want to resolve is not to make retro gaming looking modern or basically like, you don't want the retro gaming to look like, a native 1080p signal or 1440p or 4K. What we see as the fundamental issue in retro gaming is the fact that you take a 20-year-old game console, and you plug it into a modern display. And as a result of that, you start to notice artifacts that actually didn't exist before.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what we're focusing on. And I always like to share that example of the early days of 4K TV when consumers realized that, I've got an amazing TV, and that's unfortunate, but that's the reality. You get this amazing display, but what you forgot is when you were at the store enjoying the TV performance, the content was amazing. But by the time you hit home, all of a sudden, since your content is not optimal for the amazing display, it doesn't look right anymore. And that's what happened with 4K and DVD disc, and that's how Marseille got started, starting to bridge the gap of content. And what we see is, the same problem statement is happening in gaming, with retro gaming console where, you've got all these jagged edges, you've got all these issues that we noticed in the past or this experience, but they get amplified on a bigger screen. And that's where what we're trying to do is to basically, how can you take advantage of a modern display, but really taking advantage and not disadvantage of modern display when you try to play retro gaming. You follow me?
Yes, absolutely.
That's exactly where we come in. And some of the feedback that was and requests that we heard over and over from retro gamers, that was they love the mCable gaming edition. They love the processing. But in the meantime, there's two things that was requested that we wanted to make sure that we can address with mClassic is, number one is, let's make sure that we can turn on and turn off the processing, to be able to experience the before and after, or simply in some game is somehow I want, because we're not here trying to dictate how video should look like, but really let the gamer choose when he wants and not taking advantage of the processing. So having a physical switch on the mClassic make it so much more easier for the gamer to interact with the content itself, right? And the second thing that Arabian Prince was sharing with you is it's, how making sure that actually we lock the aspect ratio such a way that if the game itself was natively, rendered in 4:3 aspect ratio, it will be appraised and enhanced with mClassic, but yet by preserving the aspect ratio. And the same, if it was done in 16:9 for XYZ reason, or it was done into full screen, mClassic will preserve the original aspect ratio in order, again, to get you back to the retro gaming experience without compromising the past, but by just making sure that we address the content gap between how do you render, a 20 years old game console, how do you display it on a modern display?
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does. And then following up on that, there was a question that was related to that came in. Besides, you went over the three position switch differences. Is there, besides that, is there anything between the mClassic the mClassic and the mCable gaming edition that is different technology wise?
Oh, absolutely. So that's a good question. So from a technology standpoint, it's since we, Marseille, you probably know, is when we are more known as a technology, a company yet than as a product company. What we hope is that really mClassic take it from thousands and thousands of gamers knowing Marseille to millions of gamers knowing Marseille. In all fairness, we got 1.8 million views of the famous Line Tech review of the mCable, right? But hopefully, get millions and millions of people discovering the brand and starting to adopt it. In terms of fundamental differences, we took the processor that was used in mCable, right, and we reconfigure it to another level in order to accommodate all those features. In terms of resolution, the fundamental difference is, for example, beside the retro gaming that we covered is, and of course the algorithm that every time we have a chance to launch a new version of the processor or a new version of the product, it's an opportunity for us to change the state machine that control the hardware acceleration. So what we do is, since it's our own processor, right, inside the processor itself, we have like a lot of hardware acceleration, core processor that does for the anti-aliasing, for the scaling, for, the noise reduction, for, what we call the artificial intelligence algorithm that we run to mimic the depth of field processing that you see in camera. So every time we have a chance to come up with a new product, of course, it's an opportunity for us to optimize the algorithm to get you an extra, an enhancement. So overall, there's no discussion that the enhancement that is in mClassic is superior to all the benefits that you see in mCable are integrated in mClassic, and mClassic go beyond. But an easy way for you to tell the difference is, for example, mCable is not capable, unfortunately, yet is not capable to drive, is very limited if you use it for, a 4K game console. On the other hand, if you use mClassic with a PS4 Pro, with an Xbox One S, and you use it with a 4K, with a 1440p gaming monitor, the difference is day and night. Okay. Because mClassic is capable to re-render the content at native resolution of 1440p, which is not the case with mCable. So that is a huge enhancement. So all of a sudden, you can take a 4K gaming console and you take it with a 1440p gaming monitor, and if you see the difference, it's days and nights. And I really hope that you get a chance to check out some of the. We're starting to release some of the video that shows the before and after for anybody in the future. Hopefully, will be able to reproduce in 2 seconds, seeing the difference. And it's one of my favorite demo where you can see that a 1440p content re-rendered by mClassic, it gets you. It's like almost like you're discovering plasma TV. Like, the black become black, the white become white, the contrast level, the depth of field, and all this. It's, so it's a drastic enhancement of mCable from that standpoint, right? And then, of course, the form factor. Of course, the other thing that we've done is you had a lot of, surround sound. Some complaint were on mCable that, for example, with Nintendo Switch, you could not have the surround sound working. You could not have. So there too, we made sure that you take mClassic to another level. So look at a processor, look at the state machine, looking at how we can enhance from video processing, but as well from a system performance, make it better. More reliable, more in terms of HDMI compliance, we raise the level again. So that's why you will see a lot of the retro gaming console like PS2, PS3. They were complaining on the mCable. All these issues has been addressed in mClassic. So overall system is better, form factor is better, enabling you to, for the first time, be able to interact with the device, which we could not do. Be able to support 1440p natively, that we could not do. What is still there is the amazing 4K scaler for movie content, for film content. What it doesn't have yet, compared to an mCable, the only thing that you still find in mCable that you will not find in mClassic is if you compare mCable gaming over mClassic. Unfortunately, mClassic killed it. I mean, honestly, beside the form factor, there's very rare case where you rather have a cable than a dongle, but overall, mClassic is taking over mCable Gaming Edition. That's pretty clear because everything that mCable Gaming Edition does, it's already integrated in Classic and more. Okay. Now, what it doesn't have the Cinema Edition processing. So, mClassic has the same visual performance in terms of if you take a 1080p 24 film content, upraising it to 4K, it's going to be the same. So it's going to be amazing. Like if you plug mClassic as an example in the back of an Apple TV and you set up the Apple TV to, output the resolution, native resolution and native frame rate, it's going to start to do amazing processing on streaming video, and all of a sudden you're going to start to watch movie upscale to 4K with mClassic. And that's pretty cool, and that's the same as you will get in mCable Cinema Edition. On the other hand, for the video file, who are more picky about the visual enhancement of cinema over gaming, mCable Cinema Edition on a 1080p 60 or 480p 60, the processing will be different than mCable mClassic because it's closer to mCable Gaming Edition. Do you follow me there?
Yes, I do. And then
So that's kind of go ahead.
Yeah, I was just because you named with the mClassic. One of the other questions that came in, and you touched upon it. Will this benefit from will the mClassic benefit for a switch being connected to a TV that's upscaling to 4K?
Absolutely. I mean, so the thing you see, the thing which was hard, and unfortunately, it's easy to understand. In US especially, we have this culture of the bigger the better, right? Yeah. And the same thing with the TV. I always enjoy when Arabian Prince explain to people that it's not, you got a 4K TV, but you don't have 4K content. So I'm sorry, you're not watching 4K here, right? So, but the reality is that it's not just about resolution. I really like some of the video that Linus Tech did on 1440p monitor, explaining that in most cases, he rather has a 1440p gaming monitor over a 4K monitor because at the end of the day, the difference is not that significant, especially if you're telling me that I can get a 1440p monitor with a higher refresh rate than a 4K 60, I will hands down taking a 1440p that runs 144 hertz, right? So right. In other words, it's not just about the upscaler, the science, the magic and the science of Marseille behind it. It's really about creating better pixels, right? So you can take advantage of your 4K scaler, but at the end of the day is how can you get better pixel? The same thing as, for example, when with mClassic, you can take a laptop, a gaming laptop or PC, and you can set it up to play at 120 frames a second, right? So what will happen is you can take 1080p 60 at 120 frames a second. It's going to come out of mClassic at 1080p 60, right? Or even 1440p 60. But what's going to happen is every single pixel gets redrawn in real time. And I apologize. I mean, 1080p 120, it's going to be redrawn at 120 frames a second in real time with no lag time at 1080p 120. So in other words, you're not going to take advantage of the scaler, but you're going to preserve the speed, but you're going to take advantage of the anti-aliasing. You're going to take advantage of all the magic and science behind it that we draw every single pixel in real time. And then you can feed that to a TV upscaler, and the TV upscaler is having a great time because the pixels are better. Okay. And so it's easy to scale. Are you with me?
Yes.
Cool. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Yes.
Thank you.
With that neutral position on the mClassic, will it be able to support HDR pass-through?
That's something that we haven't touched on because, so short answer is no. We didn't change between mCable and mClassic. We didn't change the PHY of the chip. And to do this, you will have to change the physical PHY, which is, in order to support HDCP 2.2 or HDMI 2.2, we didn't do it. And the reason we didn't do it is first of all, the opportunity will be to go and take part again a chip. It will be a major investment and so on and so on. But more important is, you've got over 1 billion gaming console on the market that has been released on the market since, retro gaming started. It's a huge opportunity for us is we really wanted to focus on the existing problem of bridging the content gap. If you're going to be able to eventually get an 8K gaming, console at that time, or 4K HDR, taking advantage of that at that time, maybe Marseille will for sure come up with new generation of product that get you HDR to another level.
Okay.
Right. And we really thought, it was, and that was one of the things that was great to have this partnership with Arabian Prince was really, I personally, as a founder and CEO of Marseille, I come from a video background. I come from, I'm more like coming from the video DNA than just the gaming itself. And the key was some of the mis-expectation. It was by delivering an mCable, it was good, but in the meantime, unfortunately, it was compared too often to an HDMI cable, which was kind of troublesome for people who understood what was the mCable itself, right? So all of a sudden, the mCable was attached to a TV. On the other hand, mClassic is very focused on not being just a gaming edition, is really a gamer product, which is attached to the back of a game console. So all of a sudden, it's like instead of like misleading, and not intentionally, but intentionally misleading the consumer by, thinking about getting this cable that's going to plug into this TV and is going to support everything for him. Right now, it's more focusing on really retro gaming and any console that you have up to date that, take advantage of this content. The other thing, last but not least, which was an issue with mCable that get overcome, which is related to your question, that get overcome with HDR is, one thing that was annoying having a cable is, if you have a 4K game console that support, or even like an Apple TV, a streaming box that support content encrypted over HDCP 2.2, HDMI 2.2, for example, mCable would choke because it was not designed to solve that problem. One of the sweet spots within Classic, you can easily, since it's portable, you can easily remove it, plug back your cable into the back, and enjoy your HDR content encrypted in HDCP. And once you're done with it, which is 99% of the content for most of us, plug back the mClassic. Mm-hmm. So that makes it more practical. You follow me on that?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's more like it's no longer a device that is like you plug in, you plug it in. You like the cables. That was another issue that we have with mCable is some people have cable in the wall. Some people. So all of a sudden, the fact that it's in a small form factor that you can hold in your hands, that you can easily plug and unplug, that make it more that make it more universal than a cable, obviously.
Right. And then just kind of overall, have some protected patents on this so that's going to deter other companies from trying to copy of it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's major. I mean, the thing which was hard for Marseille, it's like, it is not easy to build in it. Very few can really build a chip. But what's interesting is the video processing is a science and art. And, people who know the video, they know that, for example, Technicolor is 100 years old, video company that has been doing enhancement with a portfolio of 42,000 patents in audiovisual, having not only an approval from Technicolor on what we do, but a certification from them that, we're this company that we create the content as originally intended by movie directors is not something to take lightly. It's not a marketing fluff that says, hey, I got certified by this and I just put a logo there. It's simply witness, the unique advantage and the barrier to entry to what we do. And I can tell you, in all honesty, yes, short answer, we do have patents, but more than that is the barrier to entry to develop product like that is massive in the sense that you need to be able to do your own chip. And let's be very clear. Imagine you take the most expensive TV on the market, OLED, one of my favorites right now from LG, and you've got billions of research that is invested in display. I can tell you if people could have done what we do, it would have been done already.
Right.
So from that standpoint, we're very happy to do something to offer the cream of the cream, video processing, for sub-$100 to gamers. I mean, that's exciting, and that was very, very hard to do. So I really hope that you can help us to spread the word, and hopefully millions of people discover, the product and enjoy it like the others that discovered mCable in the past.
Yes, and then relating to that, when is the Kickstarter going to kick off, and what are the I noticed on there that you've got the $79 for the early backers, and then you've got a projected MSRP of $99. But when is this all going to launch?
So the goal is to launch it on Tuesday, July 23rd. I'm in panic when you do that because we are receive a phenomenal feedback from E3. So there's so the phone doesn't stop to ring. And we really hope to wrap up quickly all the content for the campaign, including for my dear friend Arabian Prince. But July 23rd will be the launch, on Kickstarter. Okay. And by the way, just to be clear, is the idea of launching it on Kickstarter is really to give a chance to the early adopters to know the brand, and then hopefully spread the word to start to make it very, very big, hopefully, and then we could start to do more and more and more product like mClassic, OG, and others. It's I have a dream. No, I think it's what I mean. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is something where you hope that the community, listen, if we could get, we anticipate something really big. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't want to put numbers, but at the end of the day, if you look at the success of mCable and you look at what mClassic offer and the feedback we're getting from the industry so far, I think it's going to be a major success. I mean, again, kudos to the team, kudos to Arabian Prince for the simplicity of the design, a beautiful design, the engineering team that delivered this in a form factor, and making sure. And, let's not forget, one thing that I'm very proud of is, to be able to be as an innovator in Silicon Valley, be the company that's be able to launch the world's first add-on graphics processor to a game console. It's amazing. I mean, we made the impossible possible. I mean, how can you go and you can go and spend $500 to thousands of dollars on a graphics card, and I don't care. You're not going to be able to upgrade your game console. Correct?
Correct. Yes.
So now for $99, and in all honesty, it's hard for me because we really, that was another feedback when that a lot of the gamers, and you got a lot of youngster out there that be able to afford the product sub $100. We wanted to make it affordable to the world, right? And that's not an easy thing. But in the meantime, when you see that a physical adapter that absolutely does, just like a conversion from analog interface to digital, and you're going to pay more than $100 for that, and you look at what Marseille does, it's I really hope that people realize how how amazing is what we're doing and what you're getting from $99. It's like a lot of people said that it's free, it's a steal. But results speak louder than words. I really hope that you personally enjoy the product, and and millions of people start to adopt this.
Right, and again, just based off of the previous product, I'm sold on it. And again, Arabian Prince, before you jumped on, had said again that there is a skepticism, and there continues to be a skepticism, and a lot of it is just because Marseille is not known in the mass yet. And again,
correct.
Hopefully we're going to help overcome that.
Thank you so much. And I tell you, I'm very, very, very thankful for, the thing is that if you go and see the overall feedback from the industry, it's spectacular. I mean, like you go on YouTube and you enter mCable, all this is grassroots. It was all done, the people by the people. It was not this, this machine, this millions of dollars of marketing machine that make us understand who is Marseille. And I think it was very helpful. It's just that it takes time. It's a long journey, and but this is how you can build amazing products. So I'm very happy to hear your feedback, and I'm looking forward to have more and more people discovering the company and the product, and hopefully it become one of the hottest gifts for Christmas, this year.
Yes, and then where can people find out more information?
Right now, if you go on, for the time being, it's the best to go on our website, MarseilleInc.com, Marseille like the French city, MarseilleInc.com. And since we have my dear friend, founding member of NWA Arabian Prince, I make sure you will get you also to MarseilleInc.com. No comment on that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So anyway, and we're hoping that, again, join us and spread the word. And July 23rd will be the opening, and we're going to do our best to give incentives to the early adopters to make sure that the world knows that there is a follow-on product to mCable, and take advantage of it.
Well, great. Well, thank you for spending the time. Yeah, the half hour has blown by. I can't believe that we've been talking this long, but I appreciate all of your time. Is there anything else that you'd like to cover before we close?
No, thank you so much. It's really, it's again, we need you. We need people to spread the word, and so we thank you for being around. That's, I'm telling you, do what you do, and hopefully we'll do what we do, and we'll get a better world.